So, Pierre Trudeau. Success, fails, impacts on Canada as a whole. Summary or introduction. The four W's. So he was a past prime minister and started politics on 1968 as a Liberal Party. I'm trying to access my script right now. Thanks. Here, I have it right at the top. As a Liberal Party. He changed Canada, or have been certain to be changed. As a Prime Minister, who have changed Canada for the better and the worse for the laws he's made. The equality he provided, though some not wanted that, Pierre Trudeau ensured that everyone felt heard. With complicated relationships with Canada's allies, along with his leaders at the time, he has changed Canada's relationships with many countries that last to this day, including Russia and America. Because this and so much more, he didn't fail to put a bold reputation onto Canada, their political and social political landscape, as well as their citizens. Shaping Canada's political landscape. So, with social, we're going to talk about two types. Even though there's four, we're going to be talking about two. Social political is a combination of social and political factors such as culture, government, and power dynamics. They shape how society functions and basically how the government relates to its citizens. General political, the overall structure and political system, ideologies, parties, and power dynamics within the society or a nation. The official languages act. Pierre Trudeau contributed highly to the social political landscape, the government's relations with citizens of Canada, and with acceptance with the appliance of those official language acts in 1961. This act declared that it basically makes Canada a bilingual region, allowing them to be free as English speakers be equal to French speakers. So on labeling and packaging and stuff, they also have the French translation. That's because of the official languages act. Though people did not really want this, during the time Ottawa was trying to separate from Canada and become their own nation, but due to Canada's dependency on Ottawa's income at the time, Pierre Trudeau and a bunch of others did not want that to happen. So they tried to hang on to them, and that was not good because 52% didn't want this, 52% did not want this act to go through. So, but he let it go through anyways. He was like, I don't care about you guys. Let's do this anyways. But thank you. So citizens react to this and why. I already went over this just now. I forgot about the slide. But yes. Economic fallout in Canada. So, Trudeau's government from 1980 to 1984 was one of the lowest points and encountered a number of issues, including constant and rising inflation, unemployment, and an infinite federal budget that has increased his popularity. He dissatisfied energy-producing regions in Western Canada with his national energy program, a massive government intervention in the economy. This connects to the political landscape because Trudeau's policy, such as the national energy program just mentioned, influenced the balance in political power within the region. Effects on international standing. Confusion? Yes. Canadian-American relations was a recurring problem, but most prominent during his presidency. Despite sometimes playing with to the U.S., Trudeau felt his prime ministership was less vague to the precipitation of the U.S. foreign and defense policies. By the end of his time as prime minister, Pierre Trudeau was much more vocal in criticizing the U.S. as foreign and defense policies, despite previously accommodating to the U.S. at times. Pierre's relationship with the U.S. differentiates during the North-South cooperation between nations, between the wealthy and rich and the low below. But during his first order of business, he encouraged the undeveloped, he encouraged the North-South cooperation. We were talking about that, and then in 1983 to 1984, he persuaded leaders both in the Soviet and Western blocs to negotiate a reduction for nuclear weapons to lower Cold War costs. However, at the same time, Trudeau's government was responsible for the decision to allow U.S. testing for the Council missile. People were very confused about this, even though there was many explanations it's bombing versus testing bombing. I'm not sure, but yeah, the Soviet Union. But he didn't want to worsen nuclear arms race. This caused distrust from support and whatnot too, affecting its overall international standings. Some important things he did for Canada, affecting our international standing, socio-political landscape, and more, was he stood up for women by placing multiple acts like broadening grounds for divorce, allowing abortions to really happen, and a bunch of other things he allowed that to happen and make them feel equal to men. He did this along with the Indigenous community, was heard and served as equals. Trudeau and Chrétien introduced the White Paper, proposing equal treatment with the Indigenous people, and by putting an end to the Indian Act and offering the same services as Canadians. However, Indigenous communities interpreted this as an attempt to assimilate them and erase their district identity. So after that, they created the Red Paper, which basically meant in response to the White Paper. The Red Paper was a Constitution Act of 1982, recognized and affirmed existing Indigenous and treaty rights. Pierre Trudeau did so much for Canada and ensured that everyone felt heard and felt comfortable living in Canada, despite the rough patches and inflicting the aspects. Cause and consequence. So basically this, I'm going to be going through his whole bibliography and saying in the end, this is what caused, he was born, right? And that's how the actions happen. So, bibliography. Yeah, as we know, Pierre Trudeau was a former Canadian politician, but how did this all start? Well, he was born in Montreal on October 18, 1919, originally found a passion in law, and studied it before receiving his degree in 1943. This soon led to him teaching in the University of Montreal before he practiced law from 1951 to 1961, specializing in labor and civil liberties, and officially entering politics in 1965. For his bold stand on Quebec attempting to separate from Canada, Trudeau navigated the October crisis to 1970 and effectively led Canada through turbulent economic periods. Though his party lost 1979 election, Trudeau successfully returned to power in 1980, defeating the Quebec separatist pole and international diplomacy and disarmament, not only wanting the best for Canada but its citizens. Trudeau's publications, including Federalism and the French Canadians in 1968, and the Conversations with Canadians in 1972. His son, Justin Trudeau, became a prime minister in 2015. Since many people had hoped that he would reach his father's achievements, that some would achieve the same amounts or maybe more. That's what people thought. Okay, guys, I tried to do that as fast as possible because I realized I wrote a little too much. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Primary evidence. Forgot about that. So basically, this is when the official language law was happening. So this was the conference. So as you know, the Official Language Act started in 1969, shaped by Pierre Trudeau, and Royal Commissions in Bilingual and Multicultural. As I should have mentioned before, Canada as I should have mentioned that before. Wants for Canada to be a bilingual country. He needed Quebec to stay a part of the nation due to economic issues striking. This photo was of the conference discussions surrounding the members and public servants who worked together to design the blueprint and framework of the bilingual federal districts and inclusion of provisions for complaints and language rights investigations on its most important part. Also included in the conference is Roland Michener, a Governor General in Canada representing Queen Elizabeth II during the time because she died. This image shows how much the act was looked into. Well thought about and constructed with many who helped construct the political landscape of Canada. Woohoo! Finally, 7 discussion questions. Okay, so number 1. Do you feel that Justin Trudeau matched up to his father's glory? Why or why not?
Okay, so I don't think Justin Trudeau has, because a lot of people have a problem with the way he leads today. And again, Pierre Trudeau, he's considered one of the best prime ministers Canada's ever had. So Justin already had a lot to live up to. So everything that he did, didn't really come out fine. I don't know how to say it, but it just didn't come out to as much as his father or the people hoped. So then everyone started hating him progressively more.
Yeah. Do you guys want to say something? Okay. Question? Girl, because you're being marked on this too. Okay. Okay, 2. Sorry. How do you think that Trudeau's stance on the Quebec separation and his actions during the October crisis of 1970 shaped Canada's international identity in long term?
Wait, sorry, I lost myself.
We're waiting for you to answer.
I mean, Trudeau being able to fight for people and trying to fight against
do you agree that governments
fight the negative acts being done in Quebec shapes the firmness that Trudeau had towards his country. But Trudeau has made mistakes. But again, he's made up for them in not countless, but a bunch of ways, including this. So I found that. Yeah, I mean, it just shaped that Trudeau was a good leader at the time, like good, not like the best, but he was alright. And it just shaped Canada's like most kind, I don't know how else to say it, kind identity in that state.
Okay, love that. Very nice. Okay, last one. How do you think that Pierre Trudeau's foreign policy, mainly his stance towards the United States and nuclear disarm efforts, affected Canada's international standing while he was in chair? So basically, like, his differentiating beliefs about, like, what the Soviets should do and what the Americans should do. Like, okay, so basically, I was kind of mumbling before, but Soviet, he was saying, like, you guys do not do this, do not use nuclear arms, and with America, it's like, yeah, you guys, test out your things, test out your bombs.
I mean, Trudeau was against it, right? Yeah. So basically, again, nuclear arms obviously aren't good. Like we recently, like in this class, we talked about how America bombed Japan, right?
Yeah.
And like that was absolutely devastating because America is still getting backlash from that same event. And just the idea that Pierre Trudeau is like fighting against the idea is it just gives Canada a better position in whatever argument they're trying to make. It's like we're not pro bomb. It's like it's just like we're easily trusted through Pierre Trudeau's foreign policy.
Okay, got it. Okay. Thank you guys for listening. Chinese don't study about politics. There we go. My selection will be